Listen to me, baby girl. You are never, ever, ever gonna ask another man again, what are we? If you are tired of getting mixed signals, of getting ghosted, of putting in the work and never getting any commitment out of it, then you clicked on the right video. We're gonna talk about how you got in this situation, how to avoid ever getting in that situation again, and what is the aftermath. Because you are never gonna use the word situationship to describe your love life ever again.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel and another episode of Spiritual Baddie, the podcast. I am your host, Sanella Estrella, and today we are talking about the literal bane of my existence. It is a word that gives my body a visceral response. It makes me want to vomit, flip a table, set a car on fire, maybe burn a village down, start a riot, just girly things. Situationships. I also do want to apologize in advance for not using a microphone in this episode. When I originally filmed this video, I wasn't planning on it to be this long or detailed, but your girl had a lot to say because unfortunately this is a topic that is way too prevalent in the dating world today. But we are leaving that bullshit in 2024, and we are taking charge of our dating lives in 2025, and we are getting the princess treatment that we all so very much deserve. I promise I will have better sound for you in the next episode, but let's jump into situationships.
So, you are in a situationship. That word gives me PTSD. Until last year, I had never experienced a situationship. If you are currently in a situationship where you want them to commit or you want them to treat you better and you just aren't getting it from them, this is how you're going to fix it. I am lovingly going to give you the harsh reality. Lovingly and supportively. You're gonna start by asking yourself a few questions. You are hoping to find a video on how to fix it, how to get him to commit to you or love you. The first question that you need to ask yourself is, why don't you love yourself enough to walk away? No, seriously, because what do you feel like is missing from your life if you are trying to fill it with somebody who doesn't want to be with you? What void are you trying to fill with this person? Or are you doing it because you've already invested so much time into it? Situationships are hard. I know so many people, including myself, who it took them a lot longer to get over the situationship than they did like an actual long-term relationship. It's because of something called limerence. Your brain is making up the rest. So you feel like you never get any closure because it never had the chance to play out. The amount of time that you put into something does not equate to you have to keep putting more time into it. You already invested this time into it. You want something out of it. But if you keep investing more time, you're actually losing more. Think about all the things that could have happened during that time. Let's say you invest $500 into the crypto market and you lose that $500. But you know that that crypto is still going to keep going down. But you already invested $500 into it and you lost that $500. So you keep putting more money into it. Another 500, another 500, another 500, 1,000. All of a sudden, you're in $5,000 and you lost it all. All because you couldn't let go of the fact that sometimes it's a loss. Sometimes you don't need to invest more. Sometimes you don't get a return on your investment. But the more you invest in something that you know is not going to bring you any return, is only going to make you lose more of your investment. It's not going to make you anything. Be real with yourself. Ask yourself, why don't you love yourself enough? How do you want other people to perceive you? Who do you want to be? What kind of energy do you want to be giving? Are you trying to give bad bitch? Because if you're trying to give bad bitch and you're in a situationship, looking up videos on how to fix the situationship, babe, that's not giving bad bitch. That's giving pathetic. You are not pathetic. Bad bitches aren't pathetic. But you're not being a bad bitch right now. You're being a saddie, not a baddie. So we need to change that. This is not going to be a video of how to get him to love you or how to get him obsessed with you. It's not going to be any of that. It's going to be, hopefully, a harsh realization. And I say this lovingly because I was in this situation, not once, but twice. And now that I know these things, this is how I avoid ever being in that situation again and I saw the shift in the type of people that I was attracting. Like, you're supposed to be a bad bitch. Bad bitches love themselves. The third question to ask yourself is, how did I end up in this situation? I will give you some examples because sometimes recognizing where it's coming from is a really, really important first step into never letting yourself get into the situation again. And it's the first place where you'll be able to recognize the signs. Before we get into that, I want to take a moment to talk about today's sponsor. The sponsor of this video is Keen. Keen is an online platform of psychics, tarot readers, astrologers, mediums, and anything else under that spiritual psychic advisor umbrella. You can get a reading on Keen 24/7 online wherever you are in the world. You can choose through hundreds of psychics that are online right now, and you can talk to them via phone call or chat. So if it's 3 a.m, you are in the middle of the desert, if you have service, you can talk to a psychic. Maybe you feel like your man is cheating on you. Maybe you want to know how that situationship is going to play out. Whatever burning questions you have, you can talk to a tarot reader, you can talk to an astrologer, you can talk to an astrologer about your astrocartography. If you are actually trying to find somebody that is long-lasting and attract love into your life, you can figure out where you're supposed to live in the world. Mediums to talk to deceased family members and pets, whatever the case may be, you can find somebody who specializes in whatever you need who is online right now. It's very transparent. They all have different rates. Everybody you're seeing is online right now when you're looking at it. If you've never tried Keen before, you can go to trykeen.com/Sanella or click the link in the description below to get your first 5 minutes for only $1. Whatever questions you may have or just need an extra confirmation on, Keen is the place. Thank you, Keen, so much for sponsoring this video, and let's get back into it. I see a lot of people like blaming themselves, and it's really easy to get into that position where you feel like you could have done something differently, or you messed something up, or you did something wrong. But babe, you have to remember this. It is not your fault. And anything that is meant for you in this life is never, ever going to run away from you. If there was any other way that it could have happened or played out, it would have happened that way. You are not meant to be with this person at this time, okay? You need to remember that. The universe, God, spirit, source, whatever you want to call it, never says no. They only say, yes, not right now, or I have something better. And what if you are so hyper fixated on what you could have done differently to be with this person that is not meant to be with you, while God or the universe is saying, I have something better, but he can't bring it into your life because you are so hyper fixated on this person. There's no space for that person to come into your life. It's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. There's no other way that it could have happened. And you know what? I've never been so heartbroken in my life after this past situationship. In all of my 7 years in long-term relationships, serious relationships. But you know what happens after you get your heart broken? You f***ing glow up. It helps you step into that next version of yourself. And I am so grateful. I see it now as a blessing because it really, really, really helped me to see, where is this coming from? It taught me how to love myself in a way and treat myself in a different way to attract the kind of people in that I was actually trying to attract. Because fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice is my own fault. It's nobody else's fault. Like, I was delusional. And I think you should be delusional in all areas of your life, except when you're trying to convince somebody else to love you when they don't. That's pathetic. Anyways, that was a long tangent, but how did you end up in this situation? There's a few examples, and when I say it's not your fault, I mean, don't go back and try to say, like, I could have done this differently, or I could have done that differently. Remember, keep reminding yourself, okay, I'm gonna put it on the screen here the whole time so you don't forget. If it could have happened any other way, it would have. Okay? All right. A lot of times when this happens, it's because there was no clear conversation or expectations set in the beginning when you first met or you first started talking or dating, whatever. I know that this can be like an uncomfortable conversation to have with people, is like, what are you looking for? They want to seem like nonchalant and very cool. In the end, that will get you nowhere, because if the other person is like, oh yeah, me too, like, cool, like this will be something casual.
Oh my God, bro.
That could have been avoided. That could have been avoided. Okay, but you didn't avoid it last time. Again, it's not your fault. If it could have happened any other way, it would have. However, now you're gonna know that wasn't the person for you. But now you know that if you are honest about what you want, you are going to attract the right people. If you lie to yourself and you lie to the other person, you cannot get mad if they are not giving you what you didn't ask for in the beginning. And it only gets harder and harder as you get more and more emotionally involved. So make sure you are having these conversations. I don't care how cool or good looking or wealthy or whatever the case may be this person is, they are not your person, and you are not gonna try to act nonchalant if you are a chalant ass bitch, okay? If you are looking for a relationship, you don't have to say like,
I'm looking for a relationship, like, I don't...
It doesn't have to be like that. Be like, yeah, I'm so happy with how everything in my life is going that I'm just trying to feel out if there is the right person that can add to my life. I'm in a place right now where I'm ready to elevate my life or be with another person. There's so much love in my life and so much love I have to give. My life is so full of love. Like, I'm literally getting goosebumps. Like, see, that shit is powerful. Say it like that. There's so much love in my life that my cup is overflowing. I have so much to give away. Let me see if there's somebody that can add to my life that deserves to have this love. Do you see how that shifts the narrative? It takes you from this uncomfortable situation where you feel like you can't say, I'm looking for a relationship, to this point where you are in your power. You are the cool one now. You are on your queen shit. Do you see how that shifts the narrative? It doesn't have to be this uncomfortable conversation. It doesn't have to be uncomfortable, period. It can put you in your power. And you know what? It might be an uncomfortable conversation for some of you who have never had that conversation before, but I promise you, it is so much more uncomfortable when you are crying on the floor, screaming, crying, depressed, and in a hole because you caught feelings for a man that could have been avoided if you just had this conversation. You got your own heart broken because you were not honest with yourself or with him. Sorry, I got heated. Oh my God, why am I getting so angry? Oh, sorry. But I do love you. Remember, this is like a loving reality check. Okay, let's continue. You don't enforce your boundaries. Let's say you had that conversation and both of you are ready for the relationship, but then they start doing stuff that you don't like. You might not like that. You might express that you don't like it, but then they kind of do it again. They're like pushing how far they can push your boundaries. And you don't do anything. You don't do anything about it. What does that tell them? It tells them that they can keep doing it. You're not going to do anything about it. The fuck are you going to do? What are you going to do? But you know what? It also tells you being with them is more important than honoring yourself and your boundaries. It's more important to be with them than it is for you to be in your peace. Think about that. Have your boundaries, discuss them, enforce them. When I was in my situationship and I did not enforce my boundaries, I would look at other women who get this princess treatment, who get this queen treatment, or like stories from my guy friends that they were like head over heels, obsessed with these women. I'm like, what are they doing? But I would listen to these stories and I realized these women have strong ass boundaries. They have strong ass boundaries. One of my guy friends was telling me about his ex. We have been friends for a really long time, but he reached out to me to read his cards before they were like official. And, I told him, she like, this is what it says. But he was telling me about a situation where he kind of overstepped her boundaries. And she was like, bye, and blocked him on everything. And he was like shaped up so fucking quick. She was somebody who enforced her boundaries in the very early stages. And guess what? It fucking worked in her favor. She said, I don't fucking think so. I'm not dealing with this shit. He shaped up so fast. A couple weeks later, they were in a full-blown relationship. Like, hard launch, started living together. When you enforce your boundaries, if that man actually is into you, he's gonna respect you more, and he's gonna do what he needs to do to be with you. He's gonna shape up. He's gonna act right real quick. So you are only hurting yourself by staying. You cannot be afraid to enforce your boundaries because you're afraid of losing somebody. If this person is the right person for you at this time in your life, they're gonna respect you more for having those boundaries because that's some queen shit. That's some bad bitch shit. And they are not gonna let you slip through their fingers. But if you don't enforce your boundaries, you are gonna be not respected in that relationship. You're gonna get walked all over and they're gonna think that they can do whatever they want and you will never get to relationship status. You are gonna stay the person in the situationship who looks stupid, who looks like they don't love themselves, and you're just gonna keep digging, and digging yourself into a hole. That's depressing. Have your boundaries, discuss them, enforce them. Do not be afraid of losing anybody who wants to walk all over you. Okay, that was a long tangent also. Let's keep going. If you feel any kind of internal shift in the energy, sometimes that can make you so insecure and the dynamic can shift in the relationship. So this can happen from internal circumstances. It can happen from external circumstances. When you guys first start dating, it should be like this. There's like this equal give and pull. That's how it's supposed to be. But let's say that something happens in your life, like a tragedy. Let's say, God forbid, your pet died or something, and that puts you in a really bad place in your life, or like you lose your job and it makes you go into this depression. It brings up these feelings of insecurity. This is no fault of your own. Your energy is now changed and you are not the person that this person started dating anymore. Does that make sense? This can happen vice versa too. Let's say something happened inside of the relationship, or, you got into your head, or somebody told you something and got inside of your head and it kind of with like your confidence and it made you insecure. Everybody can feel that on an energetic level. So like, let's say this person that they met and that they were really starting to like, and you guys were developing a very genuine connection and relationship. And all of a sudden something happens that makes you feel really insecure and it destroys your confidence and it like eats away at your self-esteem. That's going to manifest on the outside and everybody can feel that. So now this confidence that this person was starting to fall for, this quality that you had that made this person like you so much in the first place, now that's gone and they start to pull away. And what happens when they pull away? You start to push even harder. But like, think about it this way. If you are walking down the street, you're walking on the sidewalk, whatever, it's a chill day. You see a stranger walking down in the other direction. You're both walking towards each other. Nothing is weird. Everything is going. You walk by a million people on the sidewalk every day, right? Nothing's weird about that. Now imagine this person starts running at you. They're chasing you. Are you going to start running at them? No, you're going to start running in the other direction. Whatever you chase is going to run away from you. This is energetically, this is physically, in every situation. Nothing good happens by force. You have to let people have their own free will. The harder that you push, the more desperate you're going to seem, and you're going to create this negative energy imbalance. And the more that they run away from you when you're pushing harder and when you're chasing them, it's going to make you feel even crazier and crazier. So what do you do in that situation? If they start to make you feel insecure, if you feel like they're pulling away, you pull away too. You retract your energy. You do not put more. Again, do not invest more time or energy because you've already invested the time. No, you're going to pull back your energy too. I think it's important to note men fall in love more with distance and women fall in love more with quality time. Is that not crazy? So if you create some distance, maybe at that time, there is still time to fix it. And I'm saying this, don't be delusional if you're in a situationship right now. I'm saying this if this is in the very, very early beginning stages and you haven't seen any real red flag. Like let's say it was the external circumstances that you your energy was off for a little bit. Pull back, pull your own energy back. Focus on that. Focus on feeling better from that. You don't need another problem in your life, okay? Because it will start a domino effect and your entire life will fall apart. Okay? Don't do that. Moving on, manipulation, love bombing, and being lied to. The harsh reality is a lot of people will manipulate you, a lot of people will love bomb you, and a lot of people will lie to you. And it's a scary place to be in this day and age where the internet is such a big thing. You can find anything on the internet, especially with books like The Art of Seduction, 48 Laws of Power. Those things coming and gaining popularity on the internet, some people will use that for bad. But those are both very, very, very incredible books. And I think that everybody should read them because if you are somebody who is easily manipulated or such a loving person and you want to give so much, it's really worth knowing that information so that you can clock it when somebody's using it on you. Learn those methods of manipulation, what love bombing is and what that looks like. Learn how to pick up on the lies, your intuition. If you are a woman, you have an innate gift of being a human lie detector, and don't let anybody gaslight you out of that, okay? Or it could just be maybe things are developing and it's turning into a real genuine connection, a real relationship. They are just emotionally unavailable, whether that's from a past relationship trauma, childhood trauma, maybe they had an absent parent, maybe they have a fear of commitment. That is not your fault. And it is also, please remember this, it is not your job to stay around and fix that person. Been there, it's not gonna happen. It is not going to happen and it is not your responsibility. It is not your job. And even if by some miracle you manage to help him get through that, it will not ever be for you. He will never see that you are the person that helped him get through all of that. He's gonna level up and then he's gonna give it to another woman. Is that what you want? Do you want to waste your time fixing a man so another woman could benefit from it? Another woman who would literally never, ever, ever waste her time doing what you just did. And I know that there's going to be maybe some videos that you've seen of girls who say, 10 months later, I'm in a relationship with my situationship.
Brother,
Do you want that to be you? Do you want that to be you? Do you want to be Simone Biles? Simone Biles' husband, Mr. Simone Biles, was thinking that he was the prize. He was saying, I didn't even know who Simone was.
Not the cap.
Mr. Simone Biles. We know you as Mr. Simone Biles. We don't know who you are. This man thinks he's the prize. Do you want to be like that? Do you want to be like Simone? Like, yeah, he was the prize. I drove 45 minutes to see him for our first date. Like, do you want that? Is that what you want to tell your children? That's how you met? That's the story you want to tell everybody? That's how you got into a relationship? That is so fucking pathetic and sad. I want you to realize that. Lovingly, of course, it's so pathetic. I know that that's not the story that you want. I know you want a fairy tale. I know you want romance. I know that that is not the story you want to tell everybody or your kids.
How did you and Daddy get together?
Not like that, babes. No. And I pray to God that you would not procreate with a person like that. 10-month situationship, 1 year situationship, like that's a crazy sentence. Once you get past the 3-month point, it should be relationship time. It doesn't take you longer than that to know. I know that's very different for everybody. For me, it takes me a little bit longer to feel it out. Are they fitting into my life? Like, are things moving in a healthy direction? I feel like at the 3-month mark, after that, you really start heading into situationship territory. I pray to God that you are smarter than that, babe, okay? You don't want to get to 3 months. You could potentially already be in love with this person, and then you decide to ask them, what are we? Or you get ghosted. I pray to God you would ask this way earlier. Are you seeing other people? Are we exclusive? Fuck that. That's how you ended up in this situation. Let's talk about how you will never end up in a situationship again. What are we? You're never gonna have that conversation again, ever. When you start dating somebody, how can you tell if it's a situationship or a genuine connection developing? The lines are blurred. Usually it's a timing thing and it's a misalignment of values. After the 3-month mark, you are starting to step into situationship territory. Things need to be done. He either needs to get cut out of your life or you need to get together. He needs to get a move on. Like, how can you make sure to take the right steps so that you end up being in a relationship instead of ending up in a situationship? So the first thing, when you get out and you begin to heal and you want to reassess how this is never going to happen again, because this is absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. We're not doing that. No, not today, not tomorrow, not ever again, okay? You need to know yourself. Know yourself, know your worth, know yourself so fully to the point that there is not anybody in the world who can tell you who you are, what you're worth, what you deserve, because you know so deeply within you who you are that nobody else's opinion or perception of you is going to shake that, okay? Because even the people who are closest to you, they have not lived your life. They have not experienced life through your eyes. They are not living in your reality. They don't know what it's like to be you, to have lived with traumas that you've been through, the pain that you've been through, or the amount of healing that you've done, or your capacity to love. They don't know what it's like to have all of that. So even if somebody knows damn near everything about you, they will never know what it's like to be you. So how can anybody say that they know you and they know what you deserve better than you? They can't. So you decide who you are. You decide what you're worth. You decide what you deserve and what your boundaries are, what your standards are. Nobody else can tell you that. And when you are so solid in that foundation of yourself, of knowing who the you are, nobody can shake you. It doesn't matter what anybody says. Anything that anybody says is just their perception of you through their own reality. If somebody tells me that I'm ugly, okay, that's fine. You think I'm ugly. I don't think I'm ugly. I love the way I look. I think I'm beautiful. But everybody has their preferences. Everybody's looking at the world through a different lens of reality. You are living in a completely different reality than everybody else in this world. Just because you think I'm ugly doesn't mean that I am ugly. If somebody tells me I'm purple, I know I'm not purple. You can't, like, okay? I'm not just gonna think that I'm purple because you told me. On top of knowing yourself, you need to know what you want. What are your non-negotiables? If you do not know those things, you need to figure that out first. How are you going to know if this is even the right person remotely if you don't know what qualities are within your non-negotiables? So if you don't have a non-negotiable list, make a list of things that you are not willing to budge on. For example, non-negotiable, can commit. That's a big one. And it could be anything. You can make as many as you want. These are your standards. When you have your non-negotiable list, you are so aware of what you are looking for in a relationship that if you come across anybody that doesn't have your non-negotiable list, that you are not willing to date anybody who doesn't have these qualities, let's say you want somebody who is ready for a relationship, somebody who's tall, and somebody with a job. I don't know. Let's say those are your only three. That's not that crazy to ask for, okay? And if anybody tries to tell you anything about your standards, tell them it's your life. But remember, that's not going to affect you because you're already at step 2. You already know yourself and your standards, okay? So when you know your non-negotiables and you know what you want, you cannot be afraid to ask for it, okay? Closed mouths do not get fed. If you are somebody who wants to be romanced, wine and dined, and spoiled, you want a man who puts in the extra thought and effort, you have to say that from the very beginning. Otherwise, you are wasting your own time and you're going to break your own heart if you're expecting this person to do this or to be a mind reader or to change if you never told them that that's what you wanted. For example, let's say that I was on a first date with a guy and he was saying like, oh yeah, I'm just chill. I don't really like to go out for dates. I just want to like chill and watch TV. I think spending money on that stuff is stupid. Like you could just hang out. Like flowers are a waste of money. You know, they'll just die in a week, whatever. I'm going to straight up be like, okay, well, this isn't going to work out then because I'm somebody who loves to go out. I go out with my friends all the time. I'll go out by myself. I'm not going to sit at home with you. And that's totally fine if he wants to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's the life that they want to live, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We're just very different, you know? And I would say, well, I like to be taken on dates. I like to be wine and dined. I love getting flowers. That's actually something that I expect out of a relationship. Otherwise, it's not going to work, you know? And you could be like, part ways. It could be that easy. But if you are so shy to ask for what you want and to be expressive about your needs and what you are really wanting out of a relationship, later down the line, if he was saying, yeah, I don't like to do all of that, I think flowers are a waste of money, and you kept quiet about that and you were like, that's fine, I can change him. First of all, babe, you're not going to change him, okay? Second of all, don't get mad at him when you didn't know how to use your voice and speak up and ask for what you wanted because he told you straight up what he's like and you did not believe that. You were just hoping that he was going to read your mind or that maybe you could convince him to be more romantic later. No, babe, that's your fault. That is your fault and it could have been so easily avoided if you just had that conversation. Know if somebody is going to be adding to your life or subtracting from it. If women are multipliers, men either add or subtract. If you multiply a positive number, you are going to get a bigger number. If you multiply a negative number, you are going to get a bigger negative number. Whatever a man gives you, you're going to multiply it as a woman. You're either going to make it a lot worse or a lot better. Be so aware of, is this person adding value to my life? Is this person taking value from my life? Know what your non-negotiables are. If you don't know or you're still figuring that out. Step 3, do not put all of your eggs in one basket. Even if you know what you want, you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. This is going to come off very bad to some people and I don't care. You don't have all the time in the world. But when you are only dating one man at a time, and I am saying dating as in getting to know each other, not sleeping with them, okay? Let me make that clear. Let's say you go on 3 dates with this guy and then it doesn't work out and you haven't seen anybody else in that time. You don't really like each other. It's not going to work out, but you just wasted 3 weeks. You could have separated the days so that you could be getting to know other people or putting yourself in places where you could know other people. The more people that you are dating, getting to know during this time, also getting to know what you like and what your non-negotiables are. I really like this about this person. This person has the same thing, but this person also has this other non-negotiable. That's how you make your list of what you want versus what you don't want. It's not like you're committed to any of these people. Men do that all the time. Men are always dating multiple people. They're seeing what they like, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. You have to be honest about it. Don't be sneaky. Then you might ruin the connections that have potential. You don't have to be like straight up, just so you know, I'm seeing other people. You could be nicer about it. If somebody asks you, you know, are you seeing other people? You say, yeah, I'm dating around around, just trying to figure out what I want. That also puts a little bit more pressure on them if they are more interested in you, because then they will snap into it and be like, oh shit, I'm not the only one. I have to be better than all of these other guys. I have to get to her quicker. I have to impress her. It will only work out better for you if you're doing this. And if there's a guy that's like jealous or weird about that, be like, okay, bye. If he wants to be weird about it, he could have put in more effort. He could have told you that he wanted to be exclusive, but no, he didn't do that. Instead, he wants to be weird and he wants to be a little bitch and be like,
I'm not competing with anybody. I want to be in a competition.
babe, it's always been a competition. You want all the girls to compete for you? You want all the girls to chase you and to prove themselves? Like, that's a princess. Do you want to date another princess, or do you want to be the princess? Do you want to be the queen? Okay? If you don't know how to bring up that conversation, you can ask them. Are you seeing other people? They say yes or no. Are you? And then that just kind of puts a little bit more pressure on the situation. And it will really, really, really help you if you are somebody who gets really attached very easily, or codependent, or hyperfixates on one person. It will help you distribute your energy, or at least learn how to do it, so that you are not putting in too much energy into one person, because that's never a good thing either. And they can feel that. It's not weird. Men used to go to war for us. They used to fucking duel to fight over a woman to see who gets to marry her. Like, why is this weird? Have you seen Bridgerton? Do you see how many men are lining up at the girls' houses? What are they called? Debutantes? At their houses? How many of them are lining up to prove that they are the best for this woman? Let that be you. Let that be you. You could be one of those high society royalty people. And it doesn't even have to be like that, where you like are flaunting it, that you're making it this competition for them. You don't have to mention it again after that. Yes, I'm seeing other people. I'm trying to figure out what I want, exploring my options. That's all you have to say, really. And if you wanted exclusivity and he wants it too, and that man actually likes you, you'll get it so quick. I want to be abundantly clear on this part. Dating actively, like actively dating multiple people, does not mean sleeping with all of them or any of them. And in fact, that actually brings me to another point. It will be easier to discern if you actually like this person, if this is a genuine connection, if you do not sleep with them. Hold off on that for as long as you can, or until you get some level of commitment or exclusivity at the very least. Because as women, when we have a new partner, we have oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin flooding our brain. It's like literally making us happier. It's like making us think that we're in love with this person when we're literally just high on our own supply of brain chemicals. Isn't that crazy? Men like a challenge. Men are naturally hunters. If it's easy to get to you, or you don't challenge him in some way, like you're impressed by everything that he does, or you act like, you know, you've never been treated right before, so the littlest things that he does impress you. And I'm not saying to not be appreciative, always be appreciative, but like, it's not a challenge for him. It's not going to be fun, you know, like they like to feel like they're working towards something. This also gives them the opportunity to get to know you for who you are, instead of just sleeping with you. Do not ever try to prove yourself to a man. Do not. If a man says, one day I really want a stay-at-home wife, I love a woman who will cook for me or have a meal ready for me when I come home, do not try to prove yourself to this man. Like if he asks you, obviously if it comes up in a conversation, oh, do you cook? Yeah, I cook. Oh, what do you make? That's fine. That's like a literal normal conversation. Don't start trying to prove yourself to this man. Like, okay, maybe you're talking about what you should do for the next date, and you start suggesting, oh, let me cook for you. Let me do this for you. Let me be your housewife. Baby, you are not a housewife. Where's your ring? You're not even a girlfriend. Calm down. Sit down. Sit the back down. Okay? Do less. There's this book, and I didn't want to believe it before I was in this situationship, but that shit changed me. It's called Why Men Love Bitches. And literally in the first chapter of the book, she says, do not cook for that man. Do not cook for him for 6 months. Let him have some level of commitment to you. Because as he's, you know, working and trying to impress you, every little thing that you do for him, it will feel like an accomplishment for him. Like he will feel like he won something. I don't want you to ever have to change yourself or to feel like you have to like give your love more slowly, but you really do, especially if you are a really loving person, you're very sensitive, you have a lot of love to give. It can be really easy for people to take advantage of you and for you to fall into a negative situation where people don't respect you and they will just take whatever they can from you. Please remember that your capacity to love so deeply is a gift. It is not a curse. The only thing is you may give it away too freely or to the wrong people. So this will just really, really help you to also see if people genuinely like you and they are trying to put in the effort towards you, and if they like you for you rather than what you can do for them. So in the book, she says, after a few months, if he is coming to your place for the first time, make him microwave popcorn. Maybe even burn it. And then the next time you maybe don't burn it. It's crazy. I've always been somebody who loves to cook. That's like one of the things that brings me joy. When I see people that I love eating the food that I made with love and enjoying it, that's like, it like literally makes me so happy. It like gets me high. Like I love that shit. But I had to learn how to stop doing that so early. There was this guy I was seeing for a little bit and we were hanging out at his place and he said something about like, after I make the food, you don't clean the kitchen. I'm like, are you crazy? I literally said this to him. I was like, why the would I clean your kitchen? Am I your girlfriend? Am I your wife? Do I live here? No. We've been on a few dates for a few weeks. What the hell are you talking about? Why the would I clean your kitchen? I'm not your maid. I'm not your girlfriend. I'm not your wife. I literally said this to him. I'm like, what business do I have cleaning up after you wanted to cook something? That's not my job. And he was like, yeah, you're right. Hold your own. Like, don't be afraid to speak up for yourself. You're not his maid. You're not his mother. Don't start going over there and start cleaning his apartment or doing his laundry. Oh, let me help you with this. Let me help you with that. No, it's crazy. Because when I started to practice this, I was testing it out. I'm like, let me experiment because I've always been such a lover. I'm like, let me help you. What can I do for you? I started doing this. I started doing less and I started getting more in return. They started doing more. And I was like, this is actually fantastic. I had this man taking off my shoes for me every time he would come back from a date, opening every single door for me. I didn't touch a door handle when I was with him. All the little gentlemanly things, he was doing more. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. That's it. And I didn't do anything. I did less. So I learned if you do less, you give your love more slowly until you realize that they really deserve it. By then, I hope they are so used to treating you like this and that is your standards, that it's just going to develop into something very, very naturally and healthy and something that you are actually fulfilled in. These men, when I'm doing less, they are literally obsessed. They will literally say, I'm obsessed with you. And I even say it. Yeah, I want my man to be obsessed with me. And they'll literally be like, I kind of am obsessed with you. I'm like, I know. Perfect. I'm obsessed with myself too. Never, ever, ever cancel the plans that you had to go see him, especially if it's last minute. Do not start spending so much time with him. You need to set this boundary with yourself and with him of how much time in the beginning, how many days will you spend together? Maybe it's one date every week, or maybe it's twice a week, but you need to figure out where that is fitting into your life. If he is making plans with you last minute, first of all, a lot of times this means that either he's lazy and doesn't know how to plan a date properly, or that something fell through and you are his backup plan. You do not want to be the backup plan, baby. A lot of people say if a man is not asking you out during prime time of the week, Friday, Saturday, even maybe Sunday, depending on like what your schedules are like, there's somebody else that he's saving for the weekend. So if he's asking you to hang out, Monday through Thursday, whatever, there's somebody else. There's a weekend girl. You want to be the weekend girl. Say no if you don't want to be those weekday girls. I know like some people work on the weekend. Use your discernment with that, okay? It's going to be different for everybody. Don't cancel your plans, whether it's with your friends, you wanted to work out, work on a project that was really important to you. Don't let that fall through because you want to go hang out with him. Like obviously later on, if this develops into a relationship, of course, you can rearrange your schedule to make him fit into your life better. But in the beginning stages, no, babe. Absolutely not. Because you know what that tells yourself? It tells you that he's more important than you, than whatever you had to do. If you start doing this regularly, you will lose the parts of yourself that make you you. Because all of these things that we do in our lives, we go to the gym or have a hobby or we hang out with our friends. These are all things that fill our life with joy and add life to our time. Don't lose that part of you for a man, because it will only create this like domino effect where you are putting all your energy into him, maybe becoming codependent on each other, and you will like lose your luster. You don't want to do that. You need to continue to have your own life. I know that there's a lot of guys that say like,
oh, where are the girls that don't go to the club? Where are the girls that just stay at home, mind their own business? Where are those girls?
Meanwhile, they're looking for that girl in the club. They're looking for that girl in the real world. And at the end of the day, like, there's nothing wrong if you are like that. But they don't really want that. They are looking for a woman to conquer. They want a woman who has a life and to take her and to put her in the house and turn her into a housewife. That's what they want. Stay far the fuck away from that kind of man, okay? That's another side story. Except the last minute plans, if he's like reaching out to you like, hey, what are you doing in a couple hours? What are you doing tonight? Like,
why are you gay?
no, he needs to just say like, I'm busy, I'm doing stuff. Maybe don't even answer. If he wants to see you, he needs to plan a date properly. You could even answer and be like, I'm watching a movie with my dog tonight. I'm really busy. It could be literally the most boring thing ever. And he could be offering you to do something really, really fun. But if it's last minute, not even like 1 or 2 or 3 days in advance, it's last minute and you really, really want to go, you really have to fight that urge. Obviously, you want to go do the fun thing, but then you're telling him, like, you need to do better because I would rather fucking sit in my bed with my dog watching this movie about I don't know what than go hang out with you. He needs to put more effort in, okay? Because you are worth the effort. You have to tell yourself that you're worth the effort through your actions to yourself. Every time you don't honor yourself and your worth, you are reaffirming it to your brain and to your subconscious mind that you actually aren't worth it. You might not believe that you are worth anything now or that you deserve anything more because of your past experiences, but that doesn't mean that you can't retrain your brain and you can't change and evolve into a new person. Another thing is recognizing the signs early on before you get too emotionally involved. What does that mean? It could mean a lot of things, you know, like believing people when they tell you who they are. If somebody on a first date is telling you when you're having this conversation, what are you looking for? You know, like, what are you trying to gain? And they're telling you, oh, I'm not looking for anything serious. You know, like, I'm not ready for a relationship right now. I'm like working on myself. Believe them. They literally just told you. If you don't want to believe that, that is 1,000% your fault if you end up in a situationship. I'm sorry, lovingly, but it's your fault. Don't be fucking stupid. They literally just told you that they're not ready. What, you think he's playing a cool guy? No. Like, listen to him. Be like, okay, bye. Bye. No, absolutely not. Another sign is their lack of effort to plan dates or make plans with you. If they're doing the last minute shit, if he is genuinely interested in you, he should be asking you as the date is ending, what does your schedule look like this week? When are you free again? When can I see you again? And he makes the effort to plan that. If he's not doing that, he doesn't like you. Which brings me to my next point. If you have to ask or question yourself, I wonder if he likes me. He doesn't. If a man genuinely likes you, he's going to do everything to show you. You will never, ever, ever have to question that because a man that likes you will make you feel secure in the connection. Always. 100% of the time. Stay far away from this man.
I was gonna ask you on a date. I was gonna pick you up. I was gonna get you flowers. I was gonna ask you to be my girlfriend.
Was. Shut the fuck up. You weren't gonna do anything. Shut the fuck up. Actions speak louder than words. Listen to people's actions and not their words. The sooner that you learn how to do that, this will be such an easy process for you. You can weed these people out like that. This one is really important when you are developing a real connection and it feels like it's going well. And then suddenly there's like a sudden shift in energy or communication that's otherwise been very, very consistent. Like you can feel something. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. There's probably someone else. If he suddenly starts being mean, passive aggressive, very short with you, or just cold all of a sudden out of the blue, there's probably somebody else. Also a red flag. If he could jump from this really, really genuine connection to already having feelings for somebody else, I'm really sorry, babe. But like at that point, it would be time to move on. If you bring it up and they try to gaslight you and say like, no, you're tweaking, everything is fine, like don't worry about it. Huge red flag. Trust your intuition. Everybody has intuition. We can all feel energy on a subconscious level. We just have to learn how to listen to it. Think of all of the times that you had a gut feeling or, you know, you really, really didn't want to do something. You just had a feeling. You didn't listen to it and you ended up getting hurt as a result of it. Your intuition is a muscle. You need to practice how to use it. And the more that you start listening to it, it will get stronger and stronger and you will learn how to decipher these messages and these feelings that you get. If you feel like there's any changes in the dynamic of the energy, like you're picking up on that, do not let anybody gaslight you into thinking that it hasn't changed. It's your body, your soul, your inner guidance trying to tell you that something is wrong. You need to learn how to not need evidence for it. Don't go digging for it. You're going to drive yourself insane because sometimes you won't even be able to find it and you're just going to literally drive your own self insane and waste your own time. No, just pull back your energy, take it away, put it into something else because if your body's telling you, listen to it. If you feel like something is wrong, no matter what anybody's trying to tell you, chances are there is something wrong. Take this with a grain of salt if you are like a super anxious person or you're very paranoid. You can still work on your intuition. I used to have really, really, really bad anxiety. I still get anxiety sometimes, and I still know how to decipher and discern my intuition from my anxiety. It will feel very, very, very different. And the more that you practice that, the more you will get better at it. Another thing is every single person, we all show our best selves in the beginning. We put our best foot forward. You know, we want to make a good impression on people. You should still be yourself. yourself, but you have to take time to get to know people for who they really are. If he was being really, really like perfect in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, or even slowly, his energy starts to change, you have to see him for who he is now. Because if you are so hyper fixated on who he used to be, what the connection used to be, what he used to treat you like, you are not going to see him for who he is now, because you need to ask yourself, do I like the person that's in front of me? Do I like the person that he is right now in this present moment, that he's been for the last weeks or months or whatever, however long you let it go on? Do I like him now? Or am I hoping, am I praying that I'm going to get that version of him that I had at the beginning? Because you won't. You won't get that person again. That person doesn't exist. That perfect version of them is not real. Or the energy has changed, or they don't like you enough to give you that version of themselves anymore. You have to see them for who they are right now. If somebody made you a steak and it was like the best steak you've ever had in your life, or whatever, if you're vegan, I don't know, like the best, whatever vegan dish, okay? This best steak of your life, it's so juicy, it's literally like restaurant quality. You're like, this person makes the best steak in the world. But then maybe the next time they make you steak, they burn it. It's like, it tastes horrible. And you're like, oh shit, fuck, like this is really not good. But you know, they made the steak really good the first time. You're gonna give them another chance to make the steak. They make the steak the third time. They put too much seasoning on it. They burned it. Like, oh my God, it's getting really bad. And then they keep making the steak really bad. But there was only that one time that it was like literally the best steak of your life. See it for what it is. This person has a pattern of being really bad at making steak, even though they got lucky and they made it once the first time, or maybe they wanted to impress you, so they followed a recipe, or they even brought somebody else to come make it for them. Why are you going to keep letting them make the steak if it's going to fucking taste like shit? Same thing. Forget the fucking steak that was good the first time. You just ate like 10 bad steaks and you're still fucking hungry. Forget the first steak. It's gone. Digested. Bye. You have to stay in this moment and see him for who he really is right now. Because if you keep attaching yourself to that person that he was before, you are going to drive yourself insane. Moving on. Pay attention to how you feel after you hang out with him. Do you feel energized? Do you feel like you have more energy after being with him? Or do you feel tired the next day? Do you feel depleted, drained, insecure? Where's your baseline, and where on that is he making you feel after you hang out with him? Is he adding, because you will multiply that, or is he subtracting, because you will also multiply that? If you feel like shit after hanging out with him, this is an energy vampire. He's draining your energy. Most people, they're not even doing this on purpose, but you might even notice sometimes. I've had this in my past where after I hung out with this person, I was so fucking drained, so tired after. I just had no energy. Like I felt like I needed to be alone and I just felt insane. Then I would see him like upbeat, skipping, like they're literally stealing your energy. Everything that we do with other people is an exchange of energy. You know, anytime you spend time or interact, you know, like when a person walks into the room, you can feel the vibe of the room change, either for good or for bad. Pay attention to that. And then the last thing, understand that you cannot change him. There is absolutely nothing you can do to change him or change his mind. Please, please, please. You're going to drive yourself insane if you try to do this. Do not try to change him. Do not try to change yourself into a version that you think that he will like. It makes you look so sad and you lose yourself. If he liked you in the beginning for who you were, be yourself. You're never gonna be another version for him, and you're not going to change him. Even if you do change him, it's never going to be for you. You shouldn't change yourself into a version of yourself that isn't authentic for somebody else. That's not right. Now, what do you do after you realize that you are getting out of your situationship? I hope that you're not in love with this person. I pray to God that you're not, because it was too late for me by the time the red flags started showing up, and I was a fucking mess. But I had the biggest breakthroughs of my life after I went through the worst heartbreak of my life from a situationship. And I promised myself when I was screaming, crying on the floor, dry heaving, that I would never let myself be in a situationship ever again. And it totally shifted the way that I see myself, the way that I live my life, and the way that I date. That, as a result, attracting the right people in. I learned more about myself and what I want out of a relationship being single than I ever did in any relationship or situationship. So how do you have that glow up after you get your heart broken? That is for another video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know that this was a really long one, but I know that this is like a really prevalent theme in the dating world right now, which I really wish that it wasn't. I think it's a really important thing to talk about, to know your worth, because like I wish that I had this information before I went through all of that pain, because it was really, really, really hard to overcome that. The sooner that you realize your own worth, the better your life will be. I love you guys so much. If any of this was helpful, or if you have any tips for anybody else who might be going through something like this right now, please leave it in the comments. If you want to share your story or your glow up story of your situationships, please, please, please share that with me. I would love to hear them. And if you guys have any questions or suggestions for a video you want to see in the future, or if you want me to elaborate on any of these topics, please let me know. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Clean money in a black whip, got old problems with the friends new. Yeah, I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like